I think a great way to cook fish is just to leave it alone. Any good quality fish doesn't need any dressing up. This French method of preparing thin fillets of white fish uses just a few ingredients that result in a light, lemony fish that only takes about 15 minutes to prepare. First, we need to prepare the flour by spreading it in the dish. Next, let's season the fish. I happen to love Old Bay seasoning for this recipe. It's a mix of salt, celery seed, and red and black peppers. Almost any spice mix that you prefer would work well as long as it contains a good amount of salt. After generously dusting both sides of the fish with your chosen seasoning, dredge each piece in the flour and shake to remove the excess. Zest your lemon. A trick that I find useful is to zest the lemon from the top instead of the bottom. This way I can make sure I'm not zesting any of the bitter white pith of the lemon, and also the grate acts as a container for the zest when I am ready for it. Only after I do this do I cut a lemon in half for juicing later. It's hard to zest a lemon that's already been cut in half. Now let's chop the parsley. Remove any large stems, gather the parsley in a bunch. Using a claw grip, hold the parsley while you cut it to keep your fingers safe. After a few passes with a knife, I'm going to do the same thing with our capers. Now, you don't have to chop these very fine, but it is a good idea to try to cut open as many as possible without making a fine paste, just to release all of the tart vinegar and the capers. Okay, now that we've got all our ingredients ready, let's go to the stove. We'll add our butter to a cold 8-inch skillet. We want to heat the butter gently because we're going to brown it. We don't want to burn the milk solids. We want to turn them a nice light tan brown color that'll give the finished dish a little more of a nutty, more complex flavor that I kind of like. Anyways, to do this, you melt the butter slowly. Eventually, it'll come to a sizzle pop. You don't want a hard, sizzle because you don't have it at a high heat. But anyways, eventually the sizzle will go away. When it stops sizzling, swirl your pan. You will see a light brown milk solids. That's about where we want it. Now add your fish gently to the pan, laying them away from you so you won't get any grease splatters on you. If you have an electric stovetop like mine, it's a good idea to sort of rotate your skillet 180 degrees because I have a hot side on one of my burners. Now we're only going to cook this for 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, we'll give it a flip. Should be nice and golden brown on that side. And try to keep your butter in your pan unlike I did. Anyways, on this side, we're only going to cook it for a minute. Don't walk away. After that minute is up, take it out of the pan and it's time to make the sauce. Add the capers to the skillet. Now you can see the pan's a little hot. I needed to turn down the heat. So I had to take it off to add the lemon juice and half of the parsley. After cutting back the heat to medium low, I added the lemon zest, and wow, you could smell that lemon as soon as it hit the pan. Here I added about a 1/4 cup of water to sort of thin down the sauce a little bit. This would be a great place to add a 1/4 cup of white wine if you had it lying around. And if you want a little bit of a more luscious sauce, you can add a little more butter here at this point. I wanted to keep it a little bit lighter. We already used a couple tablespoons of butter. Now let's take a few minutes to reduce this sauce back a little bit. It's only going to take about a couple minutes to stirring on this heat to get it about to this consistency here. Now we're ready to plate up. I have a bed of rice here on which I will place a couple of our sole Meunières fillets. Oh, they're so good. Put a little of the sauce on that we just made. Not too much. You need some for the other serving. I went ahead and roasted some broccoli that I thought would also go well with this. And with some of the remaining parsley, give it a good sprinkle. And all fish seem to be better with a good squeeze of lemon. Never hurt broccoli either. And there it is, ready to eat. Let me know what you think. Enjoy.